Guys, I have no idea where these peace deals are going to go, but I don't think that things are going to end in the way that I think we all are hoping. I do not see Russia capitulating to the Ukraine under any circumstance, specifically with Zelensky's 10-point plan. I don't really see that being a thing like that. So, for example, the Ukraine wants to be in NATO, all right, for obvious reasons right now. Okay, like, hey, listen, I want to be allies specifically in a group of some of the baddest people on earth, basically, right? And Putin is like, nah, bro. If you get into NATO, then you're going to start something and they're going to finish it, right? And now Putin's also saying to the Ukraine, you can't be in NATO. Right? That's the part of the deal. The part of the deal, legitimately, is we're at a stalemate right now. Also, at the same time, Putin did offer like an Easter ceasefire while still firing on the Ukraine. No, I'm not laughing at it, but I'm trying to point out how you can't really trust much of what the man says in the first place. So the idea of a ceasefire, like a strategic one that's going to last like a long time, really doesn't make any sense at all, right? Because I don't see Putin specifically being like, you know what, I'm gonna actually, back my side of the deal here, guys, right? So that's basically what's going on here. We're at a stalemate, and I don't blame the president of the United States of America to say that he's going to be, slowing things down momentarily, guys, right? Because there's not much that can really be done in a scenario where the actual aggressor in this context here is not even adhering to the rules of a holiday-based ceasefire, guys. Right? But either way, Trump team says the Ukraine peace deal could be dropped within days. This is a suggestion via a channel member. Let's jump into it.
If we're so far apart that this is not going to happen, then I think the president's probably at a point where he's going to say, well, we're done. We're not going to continue with this endeavor for weeks and months on end. So we need to determine very quickly now, and I'm talking about in a matter of days, whether or not this is doable.
Marco is right in saying it. We want to see it end. If for some reason one of the two parties makes it very difficult, we're just going to say you're foolish, you're fools, you're horrible people, and we're going to just take a pass.
Foreshadowing event.
As the Trump administration works to determine if an end to the Ukraine-Russia war is possible, Ukrainian officials have signed an agreement in the lead up to a full minerals deal, which is expected on Thursday.
Okay.
Here to discuss a special envoy to Ukraine, General Keith Kellogg. General, thank you so much for joining us. So, first of all, what do we know about this minerals deal, and why is it good for the United States?
Yeah, Charlie, thanks for having me. Good to be with you this morning. Look, it's a great deal, and what it does, it provides us minerals, precious metals that we really don't have here in the United States at a large number. When I'm talking monetary terms, and for example, titanium. Titanium we imported, they exported. It's things we can use for our industry, and it's very, very important. But let me do a quick pivot to you. Secretary Rubio said just a minute ago when we just came out of Paris, just got in last night, from what happened in Paris when we talked to the E3, the Brits, the Germans, and the French, and then the Ukrainians were there as well, where we had Sibia, their foreign minister, we had Yermak, the chief of staff, and we also had Umarov, their minister of defense. And then Secretary Rubio had his two flankers, as I'll call them, Steve Witkoff and myself with him as well. And we talked about going forward with a potential ceasefire in the near term. And that's the reason we're returning to London this week to actually lock that down. And I think there's tremendous opportunities. Look, Charlie, President Trump has done more in 90 days to solve this war, the largest war in Europe since World War II, than they did in the previous 900 plus days. And he's driving this towards solutions. And one thing I noticed with President Trump and been with him before is don't give him a problem unless you have a solution. And I think we've got a pretty good solution set. The minerals deal is one of them. Also go to a comprehensive ceasefire. When I talk about a comprehensive ceasefire, it's sea, air, land, industrial as well, for a period of at least 30 days, and then it builds to a longer peace deal, a permanent peace deal as well. And I think we're on a good path. I know it's hard, it's really difficult, but I think if it wasn't for President Trump, we wouldn't be where we're at today, and he's driving us towards a conclusion.
So I definitely think that the mineral deals is probably something that we needed from the beginning here, specifically based off of the amount of money that we have spent in the Ukraine. I do think that it's like a really great thing for us to finally get something in return here. Now, looking at it from the other perspective, specifically coming from the Democrat Party in the United States of America, they perceive this complete thing as you are walking into a country that is basically excessively desperate. The people are absolutely in need. We should be basically giving them our tax dollars for nothing out of the kindness of our hearts, let's say, while getting nothing in return, right? And what this looks like to CNN currently at this time is that we are looking to loot a falling nation. We are the looters in this context, is their overall perception. I can see how it can look like that, let's say, but again, how long can we do something? How can we fund a foreign kerfuffle, let's say, or the protection of a foreign nation in this context, and get nothing ever in return while inflation is basically bombarding us and pounding us back to back to back in the United States of America? All right, we need something out of this, guys. Period. If we're going to be taking main stage in the peace negotiations here, I do think that we do need something. But I do understand. I want it to be known here. I get their point in that it does. I see how it can look like we are looting a nation, though. But either way.
Well, certainly 2 months ago, this would have seemed impossible to even imagine. But Secretary Rubio was his comments seemed pretty hard hitting, pretty tough words from him. How optimistic are you that that Ukraine and Russia will find some way to end the war?
Yeah, well, Charlie, part of the problem is I'm a born optimist, so I know we're going to get to a place we want to be. His words are hard, but they were supposed to be hard because we're tired of what's happening. We've got too many other issues in the world that the United States must be involved in, and this war has gone on way too long. But I think there's an opportunity. We presented what I would call a term sheet. This is what it looks like going forward to the Ukrainians. They went back to Kyiv. They're going to come back next week in London. We're going to sit down and say, what does this look like? Then we turned to the Russians and said, okay, what does your term sheet look like? Then you put it together. Let me give you one example. The example is we've been very clear. NATO's off the table. You're not going to be part of NATO. That's something that's not new. We've been
that's
talking about that
number one
since 2008 when
complaint.
Ambassador Burns told Condoleezza Rice this was a bridge too far. I wrote about it in 2013. But there's workarounds. There's workarounds you can do and workarounds you can work. So you don't want to start with a problem, throw it out there, and there's no solution to it. And we have. And that covers everything we're talking about. And we should have some pretty good results next week in London. At least I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. Putin absolutely does not want the Ukraine in NATO. The Ukraine is basically saying, hey, bro, please put us into NATO. For obvious reasons. I mean, obviously, Putin does not also want them to be any type of nuclear power. They can never have nuclears, the nuclears, let's say, guys, right, for the sake of the censor bot on the YouTubes currently, right? So basically, they want to do the same thing that we're trying to do to Iran. Basically, that's what it sounds and looks like. But also, I understand it, right? So why, if Putin and Russia specifically have invaded the Ukraine, the last thing, and took their land, and also keep this in mind, that's also in the peace deal, right? So what Russia is currently doing is saying, hey, listen, any of the land that we've already taken, that we're already on, you can't be here anymore. That's ours. Right, that's ours now. They are, in fact, the massively powerful invading force in that region right there. There's nothing that can be done. I'm sorry. I mean, I get it. You want to do peace and things like that. The Ukraine, right? Zelensky. But the level of aggression you also came and disrespected, the United States of America, when you came, at least, that plus the fact that you seem not to understand that you really don't have a dog in this fight. It is your country. I absolutely understand that, right? But you don't really have anything you can offer them to make them stop. Right? Not really, not really, not truthfully, not deeply. I'm trying to think of a couple of things. I mean, but if they're blatantly telling you, hey, listen, we will stop right now, allegedly, okay? If you basically agree to never join NATO, never become a nuclear power, so basically you can't do anything to defend yourself against us, right? And then in 20 years, when we move on from this specific deal, we're just going to come back in and take more land. That's basically what it looks like over there. Russia's not going to stop, bro. Like they're not going to stop. They want the entirety. They don't even perceive the Ukraine as anything more than a county in their country. All right, just understand the depths and complexities of this entire thing, specifically like geopolitically in that region, there, guys. Right? But either way, I hope something can happen. I just don't really have much faith in the fact of it happening. Right? I don't think so. But if it does, I still won't trust it. But either way, listen, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I definitely would like to know your opinions here, guys. And if you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. We do this nowadays, apparently. But all right, I'll catch you guys later.